Okay.
York, New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
All right, guys. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We're back. Welcome to the Nick of Time show, where we give it that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. Jails is still on vacation, but that doesn't mean that the show stops. The show keeps on going. So as you know, I'm Ryan G in the building. I'll be hosting tonight. And I'm here with Raw Hebrew Remnant, and I'm here with Lee Escobedo of Posting and Toasting, and for Deadspin. And the Knicks walloped the Bulls Summer League team 101-69. And I'm going to go through the stats right quick with you. So the Knicks were led by Quentin Grimes with 24 points. McBride had 14 points. Wait, why does it want to mess up on me right now, my computer? Does anyone else have the stats in front of them right now? Because now my computer wants to freeze on me.
I had Jericho Sims had 11 and 10. Miles McBride had 14 points with 6 assists and 3 steals. Taquan Jeffries off the bench, 13 points, 6 rebounds, did have 6 fouls. And Gene Montero had 9 points off the bench as well. Ferran Hunt, only 5 points this game, but he still played hard on D.
Thank you, Lee, for the help right there.
Yeah, no
so
worries.
I'm going to get right into it. Quentin Grimes was clearly the guy that stood out today. So, Raw, let me know what your thoughts are about Quentin Grimes' performance tonight.
Yeah, he looked very polished to me. The 1 year experience showed. He was playing like an NBA player, and he looked like an NBA player compared to the rest of the guys. And what was flashing through my mind are all of the issues that people were having. If the Knicks decided to move on from Evan Fournier, I think Quentin Grimes is showing us we would not miss Evan Fournier if he was given that spot. So I was very, very happy with what I saw from him.
Yeah, man. Usually when I hear a Knick player tell me that they're going to dominate, like back when Mary Stoudemire was on the team and he was saying every season was going to be phenomenal and he would come out and be busted ass and be injury prone and putting up 11 points a game, I get a little worried. But Quentin Grimes, man, you say he was going to dominate, and damn it, he did. I was really impressed with the fact that last game he had 14 threes. This game he only had 9 threes, so he cut down on his 3-point volume shooting and really shooting across the board. The numbers and percentages are fantastic. 44% from 3, 4-9. 50% from the field, 7 of 14. I know there's other 5 shots he got in kind of the groove of the game in transition after the Knicks took a big lead. The team was running and gunning. It wasn't just Miles McBride that was pushing the pace. It was the entire team on a lot of different go passes that would led to a lot of easy transition buckets, which is why the stat line is pretty filled across the board. Every single player played and almost everybody scored. So that was nice to see the Knicks get into the type of groove where everyone could contribute, and Grimes was a huge part of that offensively. Rod, do you feel like there was anyone else besides Grimes that you thought really picked it up from last game, from the first preseason game?
Well, McBride, I thought he was much more efficient, under control today. He really looked relaxed to me, and he was just really looking like he was having fun out there. And he really 6 assists, 3 steals. The defense, of course, was phenomenal as usual. So I thought that him and Quentin Grimes particularly, they looked very relaxed. They looked like NBA players against guys that's trying to make the NBA. So I like that. I thought Ferran Hunt was really, picked it up from last game, really pressing. He looks like a guy trying to make an NBA roster. Yeah. And I loved his effort. I didn't like that he let the Dalen Terry foul get him upset like that. He's got to be more professional than that. But I did like his effort. I loved his defense also. The Knicks as a whole was just playing really, really good defense today, and that's a really good sign.
Great point about McBride. I think last year we saw those like super inflated stats when he would go to the G League and drop 40 and knock down 15 assists and sometimes almost get a triple double and have 3 or 4 steals. Then he would come into an NBA game and shoot like 1 of 5, have a couple turnovers and not really push the pace when Thibs gave him a chance to run the team. this time in this summer league, playing with other guys that are playing actual regular season minutes like Grimes and Sims, he's looked pretty polished. He looks a lot more comfortable and confident on the floor. I've been very impressed with his ability to keep the pace going. I mean, at all times, the offense is up tempo, and he's a dog on defense. You're right. It don't matter who he gets switched on, and on defense, he's attacking them. He's in their face. He's in their shorts, man. He's trying to get some loose balls and knock out for steals in the passing lanes, and he's doing a really good job of playing defense and communicating with the team, both on offense and defense. You can't ask for much more for your third string point guard.
That's right.
It looks like we lost Ryan here for a minute, so we'll keep it down the list.
All right, yeah.
Sims, man, another double-double for Sims.
Yeah.
I made the argument last show that we had. I think Sims might be the best rebounder on the team. Him and Julius, he just has a knack for the boards. He had 3 offensive boards last game. This game he had 4. He just has a knack for it. He can jump off one leg or two. He's more comfortable coming off at 2 feet. But, man, his athleticism, his arm, his wingspan, his reach, dude just gobbles him up offensively and defensively. He really has a good knack and timing on misses. Instead of those long misses end up being transition points for the team, he grabs them and puts it right back up.
Yeah, the thing is, coming out of Texas, that's what his strength was. He was a really good rebounder at Texas as well in his 4 years there. What I liked about him today, did you notice that he kept trying to get out on his own dribble?
Yes,
and so
I did.
and so he's really using the summer league to try to expand his game. So if he can continue to do that, he's the third string 5, but he's going to get minutes because Mitch might get hurt. You might, you don't know what we're going to get there. So it's an 82 game season. So he's going to get some minutes. And I like the fact that I knew he could rebound the basketball, but I wanted to see him expand his game, and he's been doing that. And I'm very encouraged by him using the summer league. He had 6 turnovers, I think. He had 6 turnovers today. But he was just trying to expand his game and use his own dribble a lot more. And I was just glad. He had 5 turnovers. I was glad to see that.
Now, I was rough on Joe. I've been rough on Julius Randle in every opportunity I get the last year, but I've got to hand it to him. He's showing some leadership this summer. He's been working out in Dallas, specifically with Ferran Hunt and Jericho Sims. They were in the gym lifting weights and going through conditioning drills early in June. And these guys, all 3 came into summer league in very good shape. We've seen the photos of Julius. He lets cut, he lets trim. And Jericho Sims and Ferran Hunt, that motor is going all 4 quarters. Yeah. They need very little rest. They're in peak physical condition, and they're able to run up and down the floor and add a little bit of different dimensions to their game that we didn't see from Sims last year. And that's a lot of Randle. I've seen the videos, Sims and Ferran Hunt working down at SMU, where Ferran Hunt played college ball. And it's nice to see that continuity existing off the court. And it seems to be Randle is, at least given that some of his attention this offseason, which was totally lacking during the regular season last year.
Yeah, I just, with regard to Randle, I think he understands that he is kind of on a shorter leash with the fan base. I want to see, to me, the key with Randle is never his physical condition. He's always in shape. The problem with him is between his ears. And so are we going to see Randle arguing with refs, when his things are not going his way? Or are we going to see him be mature and play as a leader should play? And if he does that, the Knicks are really going to be okay, because I really am encouraged by what I'm seeing on the defensive end, just as a unit. And with Tibbs there, I know that what is Dice? Dice is pushing.
Dice Hashimoto.
He is pushing Tibbs. He's Tibbs' right hand out there, and he's pushing a Tibbs agenda. And you could see it in how they're playing as a team. So to me, if we can get back to top 10 defense, we'll figure the other parts out. I'm not worried about it.
I agree. Welcome back, Ryan. We were just going through the roster on guys that we were pointing out that we thought played really well this game. We hit on Randle, we hit on Hunt, we hit on Grimes and McBride, just to fill you in.
All right, thank you about that. Computer, I don't know, it chose the wrong time to want to act a fool. So
no worries.
Yes.
Brother.
Yes. I'm just gonna chime in, I guess. Grimes, Grimes definitely showed me a lot tonight. Because the thing with Grimes is, people see him as just a 3-and-D wing, but I think today he showed more of, he got extra dimensions to his game. I think there was one play where he actually sized his defender up and crossed him over and went to the basket. There was another play where He's playmaking behind the back passes Sims after they broke down the Bulls defense. And also another play which impressed me as well. He was able to notice that the Bulls weren't set up on the other end. He threw a quick pass up to Jeffries, and Jeffries was able to finish at the rim as well. So, Grimes is definitely showing different dimensions to his game, and I think that's going to bode really well for him going into the regular season with the Knicks. As for McBride, again, great defense as always, active hands, getting into passing lanes, getting steals, great on-ball defense. I saw the Bulls gave him a little bit of trouble, with the pick and roll. They were trapping him off the pick and roll, which caused him to pick up his dribble. But even then, even though he picked up his dribble, he was still able to find open teammates to get the ball moving. So, I thought, that was pretty good for McBride as well. But those traps are going to give him an issue, which I think he's definitely going to have to work on how to handle traps off of pick and roll. And, once the season starts. And Sims, what can you say? I'm just gonna call that man the walls of Jericho, because that man is that's a grown man right out there, with the athleticism, the rebounding, and he's even shown that he's added some things to his game as well. There were like a good 4 or 5 times in this game where he was bringing the ball up the court, and I'm like, where did this come from? Like,
right.
like this guy's actually trying to lead a break and stuff like that. I'm like, that, which is crazy to me. And then on top of that, there was this play where I think McBride passed it to him in the paint, and he took his man down in the paint, did a little spin move, one-handed floater, which I thought was impressive. Then there was another play where he crossed his man up, did a spin move in the lane, and finished it up with a layup too. So Sims is definitely added to his game, and right now I think the Knicks have a very, very good three-man center rotation right now with Sims, Hardenstein, and Mitchell Robinson coming into the season. And overall, great performance by the Knicks. People are talking about the Knicks appearing in the Summer League Finals, which is crazy to me. But I'm just happy about that. So I guess since you've touched on different people and different players in the game, I guess I'm going to go into a hot topic on Knicks Twitter. So I know if y'all were on Knicks Twitter this weekend, it was raging crazy. It was actually trending under sports. And you would think that, the Knicks having great Summer League performances, that people would be happy. But I don't know what's going on in Knicks Nation. People are still miserable, despite seeing the Knicks actually, Knicks young guys out there actually going out there and playing hard and winning games. So the hot topic has been this upcoming season, Quentin Grimes versus Cam Reddish. And a lot of people on Twitter were either going at Cam Reddish or Quentin Grimes, trying to put down one to prove their point about the other guy. But at the end of the day, they're both our guys. And I believe that we should not be putting down one just to prove the point that the other guy deserves to be in a starting lineup. A lot of these guys, on Twitter, they're trolls and they haven't developed proper social skills. So I can understand why they're so angry like that. But I'm going to start with you guys. Quentin Grimes, Cam Reddish. Who would be your choice to be in the starting lineup? I'll start with Lee this time.
My preference is Cam Reddish because I think he's insanely talented. He's got ceiling to me as high as a little bit under Obi and a little bit more under RJ. I think he's probably the third highest ceiling on the team. It's about him putting it together. I haven't seen it, and since he's gotten to the league, him put together the total package of his game. He misses assignments on defense, not so much because he doesn't have the IQ, but more because the motor's not there defensively, and he uses his energy for the offensive end. He's not so interested in playing defense, and that's not a when he points and dip system. So keep you on the bench. If he could put his whole game together, to me, Cam Reddish adds an element that puts us into the play-in tournament, maybe even a 6 or 7 seed in the East. I don't see that happening. So Grimes makes more sense as a complementary piece. I think he fits better. Brunson being undersized and small, provides some strength and size at the 2 guard. That's the RJ. It's a lot of defense on the perimeter wing, and you got the shooting too. So as long as Fournier is not starting, I'm happy. Those are 2 great options to have us to be having this conversation about. My preference would be Cam Reddish, but I think Grimes is a better fit.
All right. What about you, Raw?
I hate to sound like a parakeet, but I agree completely with what Lee just said. See, the thing is that talent-wise, just straight on talent. To me, I think Cam Reddish has more talent than anybody on the Knicks roster. He is just, to me, I've been very high on his talent since he was coming at Duke as a freshman.
Yeah.
And so I've always been high on his talent. But in terms of fit with the starting unit, with Tibbs's system, Grimes is a more seamless fit. I am very excited about Jalen Brunson because of his leadership ability, but we need a real defender next to him. And I'm very high on Grimes. Grimes will not demand the basketball, but he'll be very efficient as a 3-and-D guy. And again, that's not taken away from Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is more talented than Grimes. But the way I would like to see Tibbs use Cam is in a variety of ways. I'd like to see Tibbs use Cam at all three of the 2, the 3, or the 4, depending on the situation. I'd like to see Cam moved all over the floor like a pawn, like a chess piece, and then just see, hopefully he stays healthy. And that's what I got from his attitude at the Summer League. He looked to me like a guy that's all business. Like, this is my year to make sure I'm making some money. So even if he flounders with the Knicks this year, I really believe his talent is such, somebody's going to give him a chance. But we're talking about the difference between him making $3 to $5 million and 15 to 20 million.
Yep.
And so he's got to come through this year. It's going to be big for him. So I think Cam is more talented, but in terms of fit right now, I'd rather have Grimes out there starting with JB.
If there was one person I wanted to see a summer league rooting on the team, it was Cam Reddish. And I was super happy to see him out of everybody hanging out with the guys, hanging out with Tibbs and Scott Perry and Leon, and actually watching and rooting on his future teammates.
Yep.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think the fact that Cam Reddish was sitting, I think it was next to Leon Rose, I believe. Was it next to Leon Rose?
Yeah, he was. He was sitting next to Leon Rose, man.
Yeah, I think that's a very positive sign for Cam Reddish going into this next season. I'm assuming that, with them moving the vets out, it's definitely going to force Tibbs to play the young guys more. And Cam Reddish is going to be one of those guys that I believe will be getting more minutes this season for the Knicks to see what they have in Cam Reddish. As for me, now between the whole Grimes and Reddish debate, I'll say this. Like Ross said, if you're going by talent, like pure talent, Cam Reddish is clearly the more talented player, and he's the player that has the more upside into what that player can become once they hit their prime. But if I'm going by fit, and the way I look at it like this: what is the Knicks' projected starting lineup going into next season? Possibly Mitch at the 5. If Randle is still here, which it looks like he will be, he's going to be at the 4. RJ is definitely starting. Brunson is definitely starting. Out of all of those guys, who are the guys that can really shoot the rock on a consistent basis and they're going to knock in threes? Probably only Brunson out of all of them. RJ's shot is still a bit inconsistent, and Randall's shot is still a bit inconsistent. So to fill that fit spot, I'm looking for somebody who's probably a more consistent shooter, just to add that little bit of spacing that the Knicks need. And right now, Grimes is the better shooter. He's the more consistent shooter. And that's somebody where you just cannot leave him open at the 3-point line. So I'm more leaning towards Grimes. And to be honest about it, when I look at the Knicks second unit, the more and more I feel like Cam Reddish would flourish with that second unit. Because you have Rose coming off the bench, you have Quickly coming off the bench, Obi and those guys, that's guys that'll run the floor, run up and down and just cause havoc. And I think Cam Reddish would strive in that kind of offense. So me personally, I would probably push Grimes into the starting lineup and have Cam run with that second unit and just raise hell with the guys that they have. Yeah. Because coming into this season, I can see the Knicks second unit being one of the best second units in the league with the players they got coming off the bench.
Yep, I agree. I think that second unit is going to be, I've been calling them Mob Deep for 2 years, and they're going to really show that. When you have an Obi Toppin with IQ and Cam and Hartenstein, oh my God. Yeah, I like the way that looks, man. And they're going to really be good. So, and for that reason, and I think as the year goes on, I really believe the cream will rise to the top. You take Tibbs's, toys of Burks away and Taj away, and now you are forcing him to look at some of these other players. You're going to see I believe if Cam stays healthy, his talent is going to be shown even in the second unit, and he'll end up closing a lot of fourth quarters. I believe he will do that.
When you look at the intangibles that Fournier does bring in the starting lineup, the one thing that I thought Thibs is going to look to make an argument for keeping him there is his playmaking. And what I've seen from Grimes so far, when the ball is in his hands, playmaking has improved. And that makes an even stronger case for Grimes to substitute in for Fournier and be that starter. Is that he's showing he can actually facilitate. Is that second or third, the ball hits him in second and third man in the rotation when the play is being ran. He didn't actually make something happen. Kicking out to the shooters in the corners. He found Sims on some nice lobs. That behind the back was like, where has that been? So you add that dynamic to his game, it makes a very strong case for him to be the starter.
The thing, Lee, about that, and I don't want to interrupt you either, Ryan, but the thing about that is, I think that's what Grimes is trying to show in the summer league. I think he's making his case that he can be a playmaking 3-and-D, and he's making his case to start. I think that's what he's doing.
Agreed.
Yeah, most definitely. And the people in the chat that are saying that we're forgetting about Fournier. I mean, yeah, we are forgetting about Fournier. I mean, he is with the team, and if he is still with the team going into the season, he is more likely getting playing time. But I'm just talking about my preference. I would like to see Cam Reddish run with the guys I've mentioned. But if Fournier is still with the lineup as well, Fournier still brings a lot to the table as well because he's a good 3-point shooter, and you're going to have to hide Fournier on D, but I think with the guys I've mentioned, Fournier can be hidden on defense. And I feel like, Fournier can't fit into that second unit as well, but it remains to be seen because the Knicks do look like they have a deep team going into this season. There's going to be one or two guys left out of the rotation that should be getting minutes. So it's going to depend a lot on who Thibs prefers. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, Thibs leans more towards the young guys for that second unit instead of going with guys like Fournier, but it remains to be seen because Fournier is still the guy with the $17 million contract, and you really can't just sit Fournier and not play him. So,
right.
I don't hate Fournier too. I mean, when we had that conversation on draft day, we all had our opinions. I probably like Fournier the most because I really love what he brings in shooting. I think he has a high basketball IQ. He's just such a liability on defense. And when his shot is on, he can bring you into a game and win you a game on his own, as we saw in that game against Boston, and a few other opportunities throughout the season too. I just want him squarely on the bench. I don't want him starting anymore. I want him not playing at all some games when the young guys are hot. I don't want Thibs to have that mentality where he has to get his minutes. I'm okay with him, always being in the rotation as part of a 12-man team, but don't always play in every single matchup. There's times where he needs to sit, and Reddish and Grimes eats those minutes up.
The thing is that people are, from what I'm hearing, I don't know, arguing between Cam and Grimes, but I think the argument, if Grimes is going to start, is between Cam and Evan Fournier. I don't know what's going to happen there, but to me, you can only play one of them if you're playing Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickly and Hartenstein. So you're going to see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, right. Most definitely. Oh, okay. So Raw just got cut off.
Oh, I'm next.
All right, so I guess I got cut off in the beginning. Raw gets cut off now. Hopefully, Lee will be with us throughout the whole show.
Before I get kicked off, too, I'll say this: I want to keep Fournier most of all because I didn't want to give the Mavs nothing. I didn't want to give the Mavs anything for Brunson. I wanted to fleece them and take their second best player and not give them back anything, because I actually think Fournier would really help the Mavs. He's almost exactly what they need. Someone who can facilitate, put the ball on the floor, get guys involved, knock down threes, and score off a dribble. I mean, he's a pretty solid player. There's a reason why there was a market for him, why Boston wanted him so bad and gave up a first-round pick, and why the Knicks wanted him too and gave him $18 million a year. So I just don't want to do the Mavs anything. I'd rather keep him in our back pocket and use him for a trade later on.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, it seems like Raw is back in the building. So in the meantime, as we get Raw set back up on shout out to chat, 115 in chat watching right now. We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. I'm gonna shout out to chat, Ace of Spade, John Mark. We have Malak the Wyatt, Stanley Nowak. Sorry if I butcher some of your names. It's kind of hard to pronounce it. You're not here to tell me how to pronounce it, so I apologize. Of course, Fritz Alciner in the chat as always. Chili Most 85, Robert Paris, Lost to Judah, Chili Most, Ian Goodrich, JT Riddick, and everybody else in the chat. Thank you very much for tuning in. So I'm gonna get back into the the topics, and I'm gonna go to the next topic. Okay, so Julius Randle. We seen Julius Randle in Summer League. The guy looked like he's in shape. He's definitely looked like he's dropped some weight. He seems to be in a better space. He was sitting next to Obi, so right there that tells me he's going to be with the team next year if he's sitting right next to Obi, because that's the guy. That's going to possibly replace him once he does get traded. So the fact he's sitting with Obi tells me he's going to be with the team next season. So and on top of that, he also played like a little game of the NBA where they asked him about his teammates and he answered questions. It's so right now, Julius Randle looks like it's going to be a fresh, new, clean slate going into next season. So my question to you guys is, are you willing to give Julius Randle another chance to see how he can play with Brunson, the new addition, and RJ and the other guys, or are you still on the get Julius out of here train?
Want to go first, Raw?
No, you go ahead, Lee. Go ahead.
I would say I'm cool with him being here with a caveat. Like, I do not think the Knicks can ever really compete for a championship with Julius Randle as the first or second option on this team. If he was a third best option on this team, we could legitimately compete for a championship. Now, that might mean other players like Obi, Randle, or Reddish reach their potential and supersede him in the lineup in the pecking order, or we go after Donovan Mitchell or someone else to bring it in. That's a lot of what ifs. And that's a lot of time wasted trying to figure that out with him as a focal point, not just the first option. He's a focal point of the offense and defense in Thibodeau's system, who has a very unhealthy relationship with his playing time, minutes, and role. So if he wants to come here and be a great leader and improve his stock, I'm all for that. But just know that that's probably going to mean you're a better trade chip down the line. And he has to be okay with that and understand the business side of it and to come into work, clock in, do your job, play hard, don't talk shit to the fans, and just give us an A for effort every time you're on the floor, and be a decent human being off of it too. Be nice to your teammates, train with your teammates if he's doing it right now in Dallas with Ferran Hunt and Jericho Sims. When I see that lets me know he's in a good place mentally and emotionally. He's decentering himself from the narrative of the Knicks as not like the man, but being more as a teammate. And we need to see more of that. But to me, long-term, he needs to always be in the back of Leon Rhodes' mind, a trade chip for a better asset to actually get a first option or let RJ be the first option.
Okay, Raw.
Yeah. I think I'm expecting RJ to take the next step again. Like he's been taking steps each year, his rookie year, second year, third year. I'm expecting another step forward from RJ, which to me would make him the second option. So because Brunson, you remember Rick Brunson is now on the bench and Jalen Brunson is your starting point guard. Julius Randle is not going to be the leader. It's going to be Jalen Brunson. And he's not going to put up with Julius Randle giving him any attitude. I can see Brunson has been a leader since he's been a freshman in high school. And so that's him. So I think Randle will be the second or third option. And if he buys into that, the Knicks are going to win a lot of ball games, because I've always maintained that Randle's best position is a second or really a third option. If you make him a first option, it's like what we did de facto with Tim Hardaway Jr. It was supposed to be KP as the first option, and Hardaway was supposed to be a second or third option. But when KP got hurt, Hardaway was placed out of position as a first option, and he played better in Dallas as a second or third option. And I see Julius in the same light. If Julius accepts the tertiary or the secondary role on the squad, then it's going to be very good. If he demands touches, we're going to have a problem. And I don't know what they're going to do about that, but I don't see Jalen Brunson allowing that. He's just not. Jalen Brunson's not of the character to say, "Oh, I'm just going to take a second fiddle to Randle." He's not going to do that. So it's going to be interesting dynamic. But I really believe, it's going to sound silly, but that one game that McBride had that was really good against Houston, they deferred to him and gave him the basketball and let him run. And I said, if he did that with a rookie, he's going to do that with Jalen Brunson. So I don't think I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, he's going to play ball, mentally with the squad the way we got it now. I don't think he's going to be the distraction he was last year.
Put a thumb up in the chat for Raw on that one. That was a great breakdown of Randle.
Yeah,
Definitely deserves a thumbs up in the
yeah,
chat.
definitely. Me personally with Randle, I'm more on the side of Raw on this. Like, I'm willing to give the guy a fresh slate as long as he comes into the season, with his mind in the right place and with the mentality that I'm not going to be the number one option on this team. I'm just going to work within the team dynamic because Julius Randle, he's going to be playing with two other guys, and that's not a lot who can also score the ball. He's going to be playing with Brunson, who can score the rock. He's going to be playing with RJ Barrett, which, like Ross said, you expect him to take a step up in year 4. So he's going to be playing with two guys that can really score the ball. And if Julius Randle would just, learn to defer sometimes and just be like, okay, I'm going to defer to Brunson, I'm going to defer to RJ in different spots, and just, and I'll actually allow them to actually set up shots for him as opposed to him just trying to have the ball in his hand all the time and trying to create. And sometimes, that can get Julius Randle into some, problems, turning over the ball and stuff like that. So I feel like as long as he comes to the season, fresh mind, mentality that I'm not going to always be the guy creating for others and having the ball in my hand. I'm going to defer sometimes because I have two guys on my roster with me who can also create their own shots, not just for themselves, but also for me as well. I feel like if he takes that type of mindset and mentality coming into the season, I can really see the Knicks really like pushing off and possibly going for 40 plus wins this season. I can definitely see that. And like Lee said as well, if Julius Randle can actually buy in and he plays well, his stock will rise. And with his stock rising, he could possibly use in a trade down the line where the Knicks actually trade for a superstar player, because now Julius Randle would have shown that, he's improved his game. And then on top of that, he actually buys in and he's not the type of player where he's going to demand the ball all the time and try to make something happen when that's not really his skill set. So Julius Randle, I'm all for bringing you back as long as you come with the right mindset.
Yeah, he's definitely, of all the players on the roster, he's the one who's going to have to adjust the most to the new guys that have been brought in and the guys who have been brought out. He's going to have to adjust as a scorer, deferring more to RJ, as letting the ball out of his hands, with Brunson run the team, but also positionally. He needs to be able to play small ball 5 sometimes so him and Obi can share the floor. Obi cannot run the bench because Randle has to play the power forward position. You got to have some dexterity there between him and Obi to switch off between the 4 and 5.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree. And hopefully Thibs gets off the whole playing Randle 35 minutes, because I think part of the issue with Randle is that he plays too much minutes. And I think a lot of times he gets burnt out towards the end of games, and that probably is the cause of a lot of his mistakes in late game situations. I think if Thibs can kind of like just curb his minutes a bit, like, have him play like maybe around 28, 27 minutes a game and give those minutes to Obi, I feel not only will you improve Randle's efficiency, but at the same time, you'll allow Obi the time that he needs to get into games and actually be more productive and actually make more of an impact on games as well. So hopefully Thibs can make that change. It remains to be seen, because based on the evidence of the first couple of seasons, Thibs loves playing Randle those 35, 36, 37 minutes every night.
Man, you ain't lying.
It's amazing that we're talking about the success of our season being based in the coach. I mean, you would think, okay, do we have the talent? Yes, we have the talent, but now we have to depend on, can our coach actually play 2022 style basketball? And if we can, we might be able to win. That's a sad commentary, but that's exactly what we're sitting here talking about.
Most definitely. So I want to shout out the chat again. So thank you everybody for watching. 134 views. I think earlier I saw like we hit like 165. So thank you so much for watching the show today. I know it's not your usual lineup. We're missing Jay Ellis, and there was kind of some technical difficulties, but thank you for tuning in with us. Stanley, we're not taking calls today. I think the calls will come back once Jay Ellis comes back. So just hold off on that. The calls will be back. So I think we can wrap it up there pretty much. Yeah. Ace of Spades. What is the panel's view on Jeffries and Hunt and Summerlee? Do they look like they can compete for a roster spot? Yeah, we do believe Hunt can possibly sneak in a roster spot. Jeffries, I do like Jeffries, but I don't know if he'll sneak in, and probably steal a roster spot for somebody. But Hunt definitely looks like somebody that will possibly get a roster spot with the team. I know Lee's thoughts on it.
25 this year. He's gonna be 25 in August. I mean,
Yeah,
he's trying out for a spot in the league. That's what he's doing. It's not on the Knicks. It's in the league. Hunt might, that's what he's trying. He's trying to get on the roster. But I think Jeffries is trying out for any team that would sign him right now.
He can shoot the 3 ball. I want Hunt on the Knicks though, man. I need that Hunt jersey ASAP. It's my favorite pony of all time. Love Ferran Hunt. I want that Ferran Hunt Knicks jersey for sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up right there. Thank you everybody for watching the show. We're gonna go through, everybody's handles, social media stuff and everything. So Raw Hebrew, let them know where they can find you.
Very simple, man. Raw Hebrew Remnant on YouTube, Raw Hebrew Remnant Reppin', or Patreon, Raw Hebrew on Twitter.
All right, there we go. Lee, where can they find you?
Well, you always know that I'm posting articles 2 or 3 times a week on Deadspin, also contributing to Posting and Toasting as part of the Knicks team there, doing a weekly coverage, doing game recaps, summer league games, writing about, player profiles and draft combine, stuff like that. Also want to give a shout out to my dad for making me a Knicks fan. I know he's watching right now. Appreciate Pops. He made me a fan 23 years ago, right after the 99 finals. I started watching. So It's been all misery ever since. But I love you, Pop. It's the best gift you ever gave me. Thanks, man.
Shout out Lee's Pops. And now I'm going to go through my social media handles. You can find me on Instagram at Sir G is chilling.
Sir G is chilling.
Yes, sir. That's SIRG is CHILLIN. You can also find me at Sir G's Corner. Content will be coming soon. You can also find me on Twitter at RyanGKOT. And also, like I've said in the past, I got my financial agent license. If you need any help with your finance, you can hit me up through my social media, through my DMs, and I'll definitely, we can definitely set up an appointment and get rocking with that as well. And that is our show. And before we go, I want to share something that my oldest brother told me about today. And I think I got to share with everybody because sometimes he'll make some wild takes and sometimes I'll be wondering where his head is at. But he told me today that Brunson is low-key a top 5 point guard in the NBA.
Wow.
Wait, this is the NBA with CP3.
Yeah.
Steph Curry, John Morant.
John Morant. Yeah, I mean, and even in his craziness, you talk about Kyrie Irving. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not going to diss on Jalen Brunson. I'm not. He's wearing the orange and blue, but Hey, listen. If he's an all-star this year, that means we're winning a lot of ball games, right?
Exactly.
So, let's do it. Let's do it.
Exactly. What I told him was that because he's not even a Knicks fan, like he just watches a lot of basketball, and he's just a big Jalen Brunson fan. He loves the way he plays and everything. And I told him, I was like, look, if you're gonna put in the atmosphere that this man's a top 5 point guard in the league, I'm with it because because if this man becomes a top 5 point guard in the league, the deal the Knicks have on will be a complete steal. So
steal.
Exactly. So I'm like, put that into the atmosphere.
Yeah, let's talk that into existence, right?
Yeah, I don't argue with that.
Exactly. So that is our show. And as always, I don't have the sound effects, but as you know, it's a mess out here. We are out. Thank you for watching. Peace.
Peace.
York, New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.